I'll call this meeting to order. It is Thursday, March 27th, 2025, and it is 11 o'clock, and we're here to discuss and review and consider the Polaris Peak Minor Estates. One of the things I was concerned about is I wanted to do a walkthrough. We can't do it without reinstating the public hearing, and I think we need more information. So through legal, through notice, we could have done it two different ways. Through notice, we could notice the people that were here that we're going to reopen the hearing, and I'd like to reopen the hearing for next week, and do and then go out and do a site visit, and then gather other information.
So Dan's not available next week?
No, not next week. It'd be the following week.
Okay.
Because next week I got jury, so it'd be a week out from that. And
is there something in particular that we didn't include in? I'm just trying to understand.
Well, one of the questions that was brought up is watershed on some of the roads where I just wanted to go up there and actually look at it. That being that this is part of you're on the outside of the P&Z, and I just think we need to make sure that we're covering our bases as a board. Did you have any questions? Have any concerns, or Commissioner Cowles?
I would just like to reopen, and so I can visit as well.
Okay. And there was also a question regarding Fire Station 2.
Right.
And
yes.
Fire Station 2 has the area, and we had Fire Station 1's
yes.
signing off on it.
I believe they either share or that. I think Fire District, I think there's a fine line between District 1 and District 2, and I think it's actually District 1 jurisdiction, but the letter may not show such. So we can clarify.
Big Creek Road is the dividing line.
Yeah.
Okay.
But both districts have MOUs for cross-jurisdictional authority. So they both operate, because they operate the Inland Service District.
Mm-hmm.
They now have in place the MOU to operate as one district.
Okay. All right. Well, that's kind of what.
They both reviewed the property from the Inland Service District perspective, as well as John Miller reviewed it for the fire.
Okay.
Are you open for comments?
Yes.
So I understand your point. I am concerned, though, about the delaying of this, as far as what's it cost the county every time we delay this. I know we've been talking about this fee and figuring out how much an hour it takes your department to do things. So just so we're balancing it all, what's it cost us every time we postpone?
So every time we postpone and we table, P&Z without building official runs us about $90 an hour. So every time a project is tabled, you are taxing an already overtaxed department that is Swiss cheese, is already overburdened with work. And then you're asking us to table, which is fine, I get that. But you're asking the taxpayers to pay
so
for
it
this.
does cost us
It costs us a large sum to continue. Then we've got to go back and cost staffing, more work that we've already got on top of everything else.
So I just wanted to make the point that
Okay.
I think we have to balance.
Yeah.
I understand your concerns, but I'm also concerned about that. And I've become sensitive to it since I've seen, as you're figuring out what actual costs are down there per hour to run that place.
Yes.
Can I speak?
Yeah.
Sort of speak out of both sides of the mouth here as a client and as the administrator, but it does cost an operational cost to do things. When we do these projects, we go to the subject matter experts to get their input on the things that are pertinent for the access road, water, sewer, fire, all those things. So to second guess their expertise, to what end is the question. So if there's something that I can, as a client and as a P&Z, what are we not addressing that doesn't satisfy the need, that the conditions can be met or are already met? And so what we've proposed here, speaking for me and my client, we've proposed a subdivision, we've met the requirements, we've met the standards, and we have conditions of approval to go meet yet.
Mm-hmm.
which is the approach to the bottom and the perceived notion that there's some stormwater issue there when the experts in the field, the roads department and planning and zoning, have not determined that there's a site disturbance issue or problem.
Well, that's what I was
And
reading
so-
about is
and
the
so
site disturbance
what
last
else-
night.
what
Is
else is there
the site
to
disturbance?
demonstrate?
The site disturbance. I was reading through the site disturbance. It talks about stormwater,
Impact.
Water management.
and the impact, and that it has to be done before a plat can be signed.
Okay.
So that was what
That's
I'm.
understood.
That's what I'm worried about, because I had the public tell me there's no ditches, there's no
Culverts.
culverts on the roads, and so then that kind of throws it into throws it in here. Am I doing my job? I mean, is it, did this go through? We didn't, I'm seeing that there is a watershed problem possibly. So that's where I'm not understanding how that flows through.
So I can answer that with the Public Works Department is the agency that oversees the need for culvert, the need for stormwater, the need for ditching, and the control of that. They reviewed it. They've determined that through the applicant process of being able to fix that approach at the bottom, if there's a culvert needed, and so far we've determined there's no culvert needed because there's no ditching on that side of the road. The water sheds to the other side of the road. Coming down the access road, there's control of the water because it sheds off to the side and it sheds to the inside of the road down to the bottom that is covered in the gravel. So those things are being handled through the normal stormwater practices. The agency determines what we need as far as other stormwater materials. Those have been investigated with the department at great effort so that we could be transparent about, because it's me as the client,
And that's where
we're being
that's
super
and that's-
transparent with the department, so there's no
the
no
problem.
opportunity
That's
for
where
impropriety. Well, I don't see it as a problem because we've done extra effort to.
no, but that is the
to
problem,
show
because
that
we
it's
don't
not a
have
problem.
a P&Z expert that's on this side, and that's what I'm worried about. I mean, we should have somebody looking in to make sure that your stuff's fine, that I can I can't come to you and you wear both hats, and that's where I think we're missing it. And then talking with our roads department, what's hard about that is I'm not sure on the bottom, whose fault that is where the water is supposedly overrunning the road because of does it need a culvert, and whether it's your call that we need a culvert, or is it roads? And that's kind of the gist of it is I want to make sure we're doing our job.
Okay.
And so that's why I'm reopening it.
Okay.
And
I
to
fully
make sure.
respect that, and then I would continue to argue, well, that is the agency's responsibility, and we have already proposed to condition it to be resolved. And you're not signing a plat today; you're approving a preliminary approval, so that when the conditions are met, then this plat can be signed. We have to go do the work, and we have to go fix it up, so the roads department can verify that it is complete and done to their satisfaction, and then we'll bring the plat back to you.
Okay, so this
6 weeks from now, whenever that time frame is, whenever that work gets done to their satisfaction, so that you can be assured that that work was done. To delay it further to the point of, are you going to go determine that it's to your satisfaction, or is the roads department still going to be the one that goes out and determines to their satisfaction? So we're just unneededly delaying it when we can get on with the work, get the proper agency to verify to you. So you don't need me; it's roads. You don't need me as the planning.
So roads is going to go look at the private
They would
road.
go. They would go look. No, they would look at the approach, which is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's my understanding of what the issue is. Is there concern with the rest of the roads or and other parts of the subdivision? Because that's not been expressed. If that's been the case, because
They're
I'm not aware there's other than the approach at the bottom.
They talked, when they were discussing about it, was talking about the overburden on that one part of the road that it's sloughing off, and that's where is that ours?
That's
is
part of the approach. Yes.
Is that does it need to be engineered? I mean, that's I don't want to get us, the county. I don't want to have county liability in that. I know it's a part of a private road, but that's where that's why we wanted to kind of reopen it and make sure that we cross all the T's and dot all the I's.
I'm just trying to express that, and we should have gone to look at it. Last week you expressed the desire to go look at it. I'm not
We
sure why
closed
you didn't go look at
We
it.
closed the hearing and we couldn't do it.
Yeah, I would argue that you can go up there on your own. You can do anything you want on your own. You can't go there as a group, but you can go.
But
there
that'd
on
be
your own.
gathering evidence outside the public hearing, and we can't do that per legal. So that's,
But you can bring it and disclose it, and so that's fine. You know, and then you can anytime you can go review a site, and anytime you can go talk to staff or other subject matter experts, like the fire department, like PhD, you can go investigate those things yourselves to not further delay. Because that's going back to the P&Z. That's all the stuff we do for these projects. Is we go to these agencies to get their input and their review to make sure all those dots and I's have been crossed. So that when we
So what about the
when we
private-
present
that's one of the questions. Who does the private road? Who does the private road? That's one of the main questions. Is the private road, is that jurisdiction the P&Z, the private road, or is it the roads department? Because it's not going to become a public road, right?
The interior private roads would be a combination of the fire district approving the road as a conditional thing. P&Z looks at it for stormwater and management, and those things are already in place. The ditches up on the upper roads they're in place and satisfactory. We confirm through the fire district on the condition of the road and the status of the road and the width of the road and the grade of the road and the condition of the surface and the materials. We lean on them for that.
So with the stormwater, who assessed that at planning and zoning?
It was part of the Forest Service work that they did when they did the logging on the property, and so it was already in place. And so through the IDL, when they do the Forest Practices Act, they have to build the roads to meet their requirements. They just happen to meet our standards at the same time. If that's a concern, we can raise that, because that wasn't raised before. We can have somebody go look at it. That's not me. Any other time, it would be me, because I'm a subject matter expert in P&Z that knows whether or not the roads meet. So it's strange for me, because I am the guy with 22 years experience in site disturbance and erosion control.
Okay.
So in this case, no. So we lean on the fact that it was in place. And there was no reason to think, oh, that's out of place. If it was out of place, I would have brought it up, not only for my client, but also from a P&Z standpoint, that that's not going to be a good road. It's not my goal to cheat the system or build a substandard road. My applicant doesn't want substandard roads. They want good lots to get to. They want a good development. They've done the right work to do the right thing on the roads. If that's still a concern, then we can certainly get another subject matter expert to go look at it and satisfy your needs.
Did you have any other further question or thoughts?
I think that was already brought up when the pictures were brought to us on the main entrance repairs.
Okay.
That's a concern. You know, you have
It should
the
be, and we
ambulance or-
acknowledge it.
Yeah.
We acknowledge
Yeah.
that that work was done at the very end of the fall. It happened during the winter. You shouldn't go in and fix those things until it's appropriate weather. And it's not a used road, so it doesn't. If it was a used road at the moment, then you'd want to go and fix it sooner rather than later. But it's better to let it settle and keep settling until the weather improves, and then we'll go dig it out and reset that bank.
And that can be a condition of approval.
Mhm.
And add a condition.
And I think, just discussing this, we've opened ourselves up to have to go through another hearing. And I think, just by that, because
think
we're
you
getting,
I would
because
argue,
really
you could do it with.
because we're getting questions and answers outside of the hearing right now that we should have been answered within the hearing. See what I'm saying?
Sure.
I would argue that.
Well,
It's part of your deliberations. And you
yeah,
can
but
ask the
part of
client,
our
you can
deliberation, we have to deliberate amongst ourselves, not everybody else.
No, that's categorically untrue. Your deliberations have to be in the open public forum.
No, but what I'm saying is our deliberation has to be amongst ourselves, not amongst this.
Your discretion, you can ask questions to get clarification, and you should do that when you have questions that need answered, either from staff or from the client.
I'd
If
have
new
to run
information
that.
is brought in, then you have to reopen it to the public's review and their comment. No new information has been discussed here that wasn't already discussed. It was all site disturbance and it was all the entrance. So you haven't included any new information in this discussion, but you absolutely should be asking the questions and getting clarity before you make a decision.
Okay.
We're not now talking about wells. We're not now talking about something else related to that wasn't brought up before. We're still talking about the site disturbance and the erosion control and the approaches that was originally brought up in that first hearing. So I don't believe you've gone outside your bounds. I think you've stuck well within your bounds and had this discussion. So I think you can give preliminary plat approval with conditions of something to be met, meaning the approaches can be fixed up to the satisfaction of the Public Works Department. If you want somebody else to review the private roads, you can make that a condition of approval, but we'll get an outside source to go review the roads. Normally, you could put that on me as administrator, but in this case, my client will go get somebody else to HMH, or we'll get somebody to review it that's a subject matter expert and give us a condition of the road.
Yeah, I'm just not comfortable with, you know, we need legal counsel here to be able to tell us that, hey, you know, because that was my understanding is when we're in deliberation, it's just us, and I don't want to hurt that.
I don't either.
And then,
I want my,
yeah,
I want
exactly.
P&Z to function right, and I want my client to get a fair hearing.
So let's go ahead and reopen it. Well, Sydney, you can notice out.
Would we need a motion?
Yeah, but I'm just going to have you need to notice the two or the people that were here is what council told me this morning. So, and I would entertain a motion that we reopen the public hearing on the next date available. I'd entertain a motion.
I will make a motion that we reopen the public hearing for Polaris Peak Estates minor subdivision MS-167-25 for the next date that is available.
So not next week, you're thinking the following?
It would be the following week, yeah.
It could be either the 8th or the 10th. Tuesday or Thursday.
Tuesday would be fine.
Okay.
You can do that.
At what time?
We just have an 11 that day.
At I'm sorry, which day?
The 8th. Okay. Tuesday.
Should we do it 10 o'clock?
Sure.
Okay, 10 o'clock.
Okay.
Make it 9.
For
Let's make it 9 o'clock.
for April 8th at 9 o'clock.
I'll second it.
Can you specify what information you need to have for that hearing?
Okay, 1 minute. All in favor? Aye.
It needs to be part of your motion.
Oh, needs to be part of our motion.
I'll move to amend the motion.
Okay.
What am I amending it to?
What specifically are you delaying this for, and what do you need
What information do you?
before the next hearing so that me and my client can provide that information?
Do we need anything further from them and their client?
We don't need anything further from you and your client. We just want to maybe do a site visit and go out and look at it.
Okay.
Okay. So now I'm trying to figure out how to make that amendment. So do we need an amendment if it's not on you and your client?
No.
Okay, I'll withdraw my amendment.
Okay. All in favor of the original motion? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed?
Nay.
All right. Motion carries. We'll reopen the hearing for next Tuesday. Public comment?
Totally object to this hearing. You opened it up again without voting on it. You can't take testimony from the client. I mean, if you weren't gonna do a public hearing, I'd file a complaint on this one. You can't be asking somebody that's not on our payroll at this time how to run the meeting. There has to be a separation. And the cost of $90 an hour, how much does it cost when we do department heads meetings and we shut the office down for the day? or for an hour or two. I totally object to this.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a lot.
okay. All right. That's adjourned.